All right. Here we are. This is Nick's computer. Basically, he all frantically called me last night I was at a high school play. He said it wouldn't turn on, or it turned on, but it wouldn't turn off, wouldn't show any graphics, wouldn't do anything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see what's going on with it. I don't have it hooked up to monitor yet. It doesn't appear to be going through any boot cycle. So let's set you down here. I don't know the best way to do this. Take a look inside of here. We got the GPU is not coming up. Is where the problem is. The fan on GPU is not turning on. So I assume that's what's going on here. I assume it's not getting power somehow through the GPU. So let's start looking at a few things. It looks like it's getting some type of power, but with the fan not coming on, I'm not real sure about it. So what we're going to do, I think, is I am going to shut it back down. I don't think he said something about not shutting off. We can always get it shut off. It's shut off. Let's I'm going to get a monitor hooked up to this. Alright, I hooked the monitor up. Let's walk around here. I'm not sure what that's doing. I hooked the monitor up, similar to what we've done in the past. This is just a test monitor, really, but I hooked it into the GPU. So let's fire it back up. I don't know about this camera here. So. Not getting a signal. To the GPU. What we're gonna do is that is a water-cooled GPU, I guess. One of the things that I want to point out here is that right now we don't know what's wrong with this. One of the things that you do when you look at a computer, and most of you know this, is that you look for things that are not working, right? I see the fan coming on the CPU. I know it's not going through boot. I don't hear any noise, but I see the GPU fan not coming on. So one of the first things that I want to try to do is I'm going to throw, if you have one, some of you may not have one, I'm going to throw another GPU in there, all right? And I'm going to see if that may be the issue. So let's get that done. I have one sitting over here. It's not, you know, it's not the best one, but better than most, I guess. So what we're gonna do is, I've done 1,000 videos, or not 1,000. I've done a lot of videos on putting a GPU in and out of this things. So I'm not gonna film that. I'll be right back when I get the GPU in. So, all right, I have the different GPU in there. All right, I did not unhook the water cool on this or anything. All I did was stick it in there. This is kind of a test. I hooked the monitor up. So let's turn it on. We got power to the GPU. I still don't have anything out of the monitor itself. So let's think about this a minute. It's not. There's something else going on. I suspect maybe RAM now. Let's start. Again, you strip it down as far as you can until you get something out of it. So let's pop the RAM out and see if we can't get it to boot. It may just be junk. I don't know. It shouldn't be. Not going through boot cycle. Problem is we don't know where it's hanging. It's not making a noise. I'm trying to get a noise out of it or something. What I'm finding the weirdest here is that I'm not getting nothing out of it at all. Oh, I had it. All right, here's what we got. Alright, so let's get a keyboard hooked up to this and see if we can't, might be the RAM, but I don't know about that. I think it's the graphics card. So we're going to shut it back down and we're going to put this RAM back in. I'm sorry if I'm not talking. I'm trying to talk. I'll edit this out a little bit probably. So we got the new RAM, the other RAM back in. Let's see if we can't get something back again. Not liking the RAM. Let's pop that RAM back out and see if we can get something back again. Yeah. It's not liking that RAM. Okay, it says installed. Let's see. There's some recommended. All right, this is how we got it installed. It's recommended to be installed on dual channels. So, like a mismatch. Let's turn it back off. Let's see if we can get a different error. And what it's talking about, if you see the different colors down there, you see the different colors in the RAM, I think that's what it's talking about. I've never seen it. I've never looked at it. Even though I got one similar to it, I've never really paid attention to it. So let's bring it back out. So we're going to put this stick of RAM in this slot here. Alright, let's turn it back on here. It almost like it doesn't like that slot. Oh no, it did. Alright, so what I want to try to do now is I want to try to, now that we're getting something out of it, let's put that other GPU back in there and see if we can't get that to come up. Alright, I put the other GPU back in. One of the things I want to point out here is that and the fan's on. That was. See if we get anything out of it. Yeah, it's going to come up. Alright. One of the things that I want to point out here is that no matter what the computer is, no matter how technology or how many things you have in it, if it's not booting up, alright, there can be several things wrong with it, and we all know that, right? But one of the things that you need to look at is you need to pull it. Back in the day, and this is the word of note, back in the day, I actually had a computer one time that was I had to pull the whole motherboard out of the computer before it even booted up. I guess the moral of this is strip it down as far as possible. Start removing stuff. Start trying to get signs out of the board. I mean, because usually it's a component. A lot of times it's RAM. I'm sorry, this one ain't beeping. But a lot of times it's RAM. GPU. It could be just a weird little card that you have in there. You may have a network card that's into one of the PCI slots, and it can be anything. But strip it down as far as possible. This says boot failures detected. Load optimum default and then boot. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and get a keyboard. We're gonna get this to boot up. Alright. Alright, one thing before we give completely up on this RAM, we are going to put it back in. Alright. I'm gonna put it back in and see if maybe it was just loose. Maybe something was stuck somewhere. But if it doesn't work, we'll pull it back out. And I'm not sure of the configuration, if this has to go in pairs or it can be single pieces of RAM in here. And I would have to read the specs on it. Like, all right, we're gonna try it again. Some of these newer, I mean, I don't know, but some of these newer machines doesn't really require, doesn't have the memory restrictions of some of the older, real old ones. They'd have to go in pairs or 4 at a time, or I don't know where you got the RAM. Oh, there we got something. That was weird. So I have 3 sticks of RAM in there. So the system has experienced a boot failure, possible due to incorrect configuration. Previous settings in the BIOS may not be compatible with current hardware state. Let's see what we're gonna go through with the 3 sticks and see if it configures. We may try this one. I don't know where they, and it may not. This one looks kind of weird. Do you see that? Like the fingers are like it. Maybe that's what it's supposed to be. I don't know what the pin is, so let's go ahead and shut it back down. Shut down. And I'm gonna put this back in. All of it's in there. let's shut it down again and see if it boots up again. Okay, it is booting up. I don't know what we actually did here today is actually we just pulled components out and put them back in. So more than likely, I switched the RAM around. I do know though, if you do remember that I actually, when we first booted it, when I got it to boot, the 2 sticks of RAM were in the first 2 slots. All right, I switched them to where they went into what it recommended, and that's when I put the other ones back in. So it may have been like when Nick was messing with it last night after it wouldn't boot up. It could have been a stick, because he cleaned his room, so I think he moved the computer around, and one of the sticks of RAM could have came loose. All right, but when he put the RAM back, it may be in the wrong configuration and made it not boot. All right, and that's probably the theory that I'm going with, is that it was just a bad configuration of RAM in the wrong slots, because sometimes of mismatch of hertz and whatnot, I don't know, maybe it just died on us. Did it just die, or went to sleep? It went to sleep. Sometimes the misconfiguration of hertz of RAM and whatnot, it will cause enough of a glitch, enough of a thing that it will not boot, right? So very important, guys, very important that if you tear something out, and I'm telling you to get in there and dig in there, but remember how you pulled it out and put it back the same way. All right. Not sure how this video is going to go. I just like recording these things. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It really helps the channel. Like, comment, share. Thank you for watching. Bye.